Dear learners, welcome back to WSE True Stories, where English learning becomes an unforgettable adventure. Today, we dive into the extraordinary life of one of the greatest minds of our time, Stephen Hawking. His story is far more than just scientific genius. It is a journey of incredible courage, relentless hope, and the triumph of the human spirit. Stephen Hawking battled a devastating disease for more than 50 years, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, a condition that slowly robbed him of his physical abilities. Yet, despite these overwhelming challenges, he refused to surrender to despair. Instead, he reached for the stars, literally and figuratively, unlocking the secrets of the universe and sharing them with millions through his groundbreaking book, A Brief History of Time. This is not just a story about science, it's a tale about intellect conquering adversity, about how passion and determination can push us beyond limits we once thought unbreakable. As you improve your English listening skills today, you'll also discover how Stephen's life can inspire you to face your own battles with courage and hope. Get ready for the most powerful and motivational story you'll hear this year. Let's begin our journey into the remarkable life of Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking was born on January 8, 1942, in Oxford, England, a place already rich with centuries of academic tradition. It was a time when the world was still engulfed in the turmoil of World War II, a battle that shaped the future of nations and minds alike. His birth coincided with the 300th anniversary of the death of Galileo Galilei, the great astronomer who first turned humanity's eyes to the stars, a poetic sign, as if fate was hinting at Stephen's future path. Stephen's family was deeply intellectual and encouraging. His father, Frank Hawking, was a respected medical researcher, and his mother, Isabel, was a strong-willed woman who believed in the power of education and perseverance. From an early age, Stephen grew up in an environment that valued curiosity and learning. His parents encouraged him to ask questions about the universe, to explore, and to never accept easy answers. Though Stephen's childhood was not filled with the type of extraordinary events that some great lives begin with, it was marked by a steady, quiet nurturing of his mind. He was a curious child, fascinated by the way things worked, from mechanical toys to the night sky. Friends and teachers noted his cleverness, but Stephen himself was modest, sometimes shy. At the time, science and physics were undergoing dramatic changes. The mysterious world of quantum mechanics and the vast expanse of the cosmos were opening new frontiers. Young minds like Stephen's were on the brink of discovering ideas that would challenge everything previously believed about time, space, and the very nature of reality. The post-war world was one of rebuilding and hope, but also uncertainty. It was in this world that Stephen Hawking began his journey, a journey that would test the limits of human endurance and intellect. But no one could yet imagine the extraordinary challenges that lay ahead, or how he would rise to meet them. And so, in this world of promise and change, Stephen's story quietly began, a story that would inspire millions across generations. But his greatest battles were yet to come. As Stephen grew older, his brilliant mind was shining ever brighter. At St. Albans School, he was not the top student in every subject, but he had a passion for mathematics and physics that set him apart. He loved to solve puzzles and unravel mysteries of the natural world. Yet, even in those early years, life quietly began to show signs of the challenges he would face. In his early 20s, while studying at the University of Cambridge, Stephen began to notice troubling symptoms. Simple tasks became harder, his balance faltered, and his muscles felt weaker. It started subtly, but soon it became clear something was wrong. Doctors delivered a devastating diagnosis, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, a progressive neurodegenerative disease that would slowly paralyze him. ALS was a cruel sentence. Most patients lived only a few years after diagnosis. For Stephen, it felt like a cruel twist of fate. Here was a young man full of potential and dreams, now faced with a future shrinking before his eyes. The cruel irony was that his mind remained sharp, but his body was betraying him. The news hit Stephen hard. He was terrified of becoming a burden to his family, especially his mother and father, who had always supported him with love and hope. He felt a deep loneliness, knowing that the road ahead would be filled with pain and loss. Yet beneath the fear, a quiet determination began to form. Stephen refused to give up on the life he wanted to live, a life of discovery, of pushing boundaries. Despite the early prognosis, Stephen chose to focus on what he could control, his intellect and his work. The disease could take away his physical strength, but not his mind. He began to dedicate himself even more intensely to his studies, determined to understand the universe on his own terms. The social context was also difficult. In the 1960s, awareness and support for disabilities were limited. Many people with ALS were misunderstood or hidden away from public life. But Stephen's family insisted that he live fully, that he not be defined by his illness. This emerging problem, the cruel onset of ALS, was more than just a medical diagnosis. It was a test of spirit. It forced Stephen to confront fears, doubts, and the harsh realities of his future. Yet in this early struggle, something remarkable was already taking shape: the power of resilience. Stephen's journey was about to enter a new and difficult chapter, one filled with intense challenges, unexpected triumphs, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge that would change the world. Despite the grim diagnosis, Stephen Hawking refused to let his disease define him. Instead, he embarked on a fierce journey, one of struggle, determination, and discovery. As his muscles weakened and his body betrayed him, his mind soared ever higher into the realms of physics and cosmology. At Cambridge, Stephen was drawn to the mysteries of black holes, the origins of the universe, and the nature of time itself. These were questions that had long fascinated scientists, but Stephen sought to bring clarity and new insight. Though physically fragile, he immersed himself in complex theories, working late into the night, often isolated from others by his condition. The early years of Stephen's battle were marked by frustration and pain. ALS slowly stole his ability to move, and everyday tasks became monumental challenges. Walking, speaking, even swallowing, once effortless actions, turned into painful struggles. Yet Stephen met each loss with courage. His relationship with Jane Wilde, whom he met in the early 1960s, became a powerful source of strength. Jane's unwavering support gave him hope and companionship during the darkest times. They married in 1965, just as Stephen's condition began to worsen. One of the hardest moments was when Stephen was told he might only live 2 more years. But instead of giving in to despair, he set new goals. He decided to finish his doctorate, focusing on the theoretical properties of black holes. His work would soon challenge existing ideas and open new doors in physics. In those early years, Stephen's mind was as sharp as ever, but his body was growing weaker. He used a wheelchair by the late 1960s, and speech became difficult. The battle was physical and emotional. There were moments of deep loneliness, moments when the weight of his disease felt unbearable. But Stephen's spirit refused to break. He found ways to communicate and engage with colleagues despite his physical limitations. With the help of friends and technology, he continued his research and public lectures. His brilliance and passion were undimmed. His work began to attract attention. Stephen proposed revolutionary ideas about black holes and the nature of the universe. His groundbreaking theory that black holes emit radiation, now known as Hawking radiation, challenged long-held beliefs and shocked the scientific community. While the world admired his intellect, Stephen was quietly fighting his most personal war. Each day was a struggle against the relentless progress of ALS. Yet, this intense inner conflict only deepened his determination to leave a lasting legacy. His life was no longer just about surviving, it was about changing how humanity understood the cosmos. The obstacles he faced forced him to redefine what was possible, to push past limitations both physical and mental. Stephen's first journey of struggle was a story of grit and passion. But this was just the beginning. Greater challenges loomed on the horizon, testing not only his body but his very will to pursue his dreams. Stephen Hawking's battle with ALS had been slow but relentless. By the early 1970s, his physical condition had worsened dramatically. His muscles weakened to the point where simple movements became impossible. Walking was no longer an option, he was confined to a wheelchair. Speaking, once a natural part of his daily life, became difficult and frustrating. The disease was closing in. Then came a turning point that would redefine his entire existence. In 1974, Stephen was diagnosed with a form of pneumonia, a dangerous complication given his weakened respiratory muscles. He was rushed to the hospital, fighting for his life. The doctors gave him a stark choice: undergo a tracheotomy to help him breathe or face almost certain death. The surgery would save his life but leave him unable to speak. For many, this might have been the final blow, losing not only the strength to move but also the power of voice, the ability to communicate ideas, to connect with others. For Stephen, the stakes were unimaginably high. His mind was still ablaze with ideas, burning to be shared with the world. Losing his voice could have meant silence, the end of his work, his dreams, his very identity. But Stephen was not one to surrender. With Jane by his side, he faced the crisis with extraordinary resolve. The operation was performed, and he emerged alive but mute. For a man whose life's work depended on communication, this was a devastating sacrifice. Yet, this dark moment became a catalyst for transformation. The world was beginning to take notice of Stephen's brilliance, but now he had to find new ways to express it. A breakthrough came in the form of technology. With the help of engineers and speech therapists, Stephen was fitted with a speech-generating device. Initially, he used a handheld switch to select words on a computer screen. As his condition progressed and movement became more limited, this method became challenging. Years later, a computer scientist named Dr. Walter Wolters helped develop a more advanced system for Stephen, one that could be operated by slight movements of his cheek muscle, allowing him to communicate with a synthesized voice. This voice, though mechanical and robotic, became Stephen's public persona, a symbol of his resilience and intellect. This new voice did more than just allow Stephen to speak. It gave him the power to continue teaching, writing, and inspiring millions. Through this voice, his ideas about black holes, the origin of the universe, and the nature of time reached audiences far beyond the walls of academia. At the same time, Stephen's health continued to decline, but his spirit soared. He pushed forward with his research, co-authoring important papers, engaging in debates, and delivering lectures worldwide. His book, A Brief History of Time, was published in 1988 and quickly became an international bestseller, introducing complex scientific ideas to everyday readers. This turning point, losing his natural voice but gaining a new technological one, marked a profound shift. Stephen had transformed from a promising young physicist into a global icon of courage and intellect. The world saw not just a man confined by illness, but a mind unleashed, transcending physical limits to explore the vast mysteries of the cosmos. But even this remarkable transformation was only part of Stephen's journey. Greater tests awaited, moments when his resolve would be stretched to the very limits. By the mid-1980s, Stephen Hawking's physical condition had worsened dramatically. The ALS that had begun quietly decades earlier now ruled his body with unforgiving control. He had lost nearly all voluntary muscle movement. He could no longer feed himself, had to rely on caregivers for every aspect of daily life, and his voice was entirely synthetic. Yet, through this storm of physical decline, Stephen's mind blazed brighter than ever. The greatest sacrifice he faced was not just the loss of his body but the isolation it imposed. Despite his global fame, Stephen found himself trapped inside a fragile shell, separated from the world by his illness. Social interactions became difficult, often exhausting. Communication required patience and help. The simplest human connection demanded extraordinary effort. Yet within this isolation, Stephen made a profound choice. He would not let his body's decline silence his voice or diminish his impact. He resolved to continue pushing the boundaries of human knowledge, even if it meant sacrificing comfort, privacy, and normalcy. One of the most difficult choices was balancing his personal life with his work. His marriage to Jane, once a pillar of support, came under immense strain. The constant demands of caregiving, the emotional toll, and the challenges of Stephen's increasing dependence led to heartbreaking tensions. In 1995, after 30 years together, Stephen and Jane separated. This painful chapter highlighted the human cost of Stephen's sacrifices, reminding us that even the strongest spirit must navigate fragile relationships. But Stephen's dedication to his work never wavered. He continued writing, lecturing, and engaging with the world, driven by an unshakable belief in the power of knowledge. His groundbreaking ideas about the origins of the universe, black holes, and quantum mechanics continued to evolve. During this time, Stephen's public profile expanded. He became an advocate for science and disability rights, inspiring people worldwide not just with his discoveries but with his courage. His presence on television shows, documentaries, and public lectures made science accessible, exciting, and deeply human. One of his most challenging decisions was embracing new technologies to maintain his independence and voice. He worked closely with engineers to improve his communication devices, refining the cheek muscle-controlled system that allowed him to speak. This technology required intense concentration and energy, sometimes leaving him exhausted, but it was his lifeline. Stephen's sacrifice extended beyond his personal comfort. He faced every day knowing that his illness would only worsen. Yet, he chose to dedicate his remaining strength to illuminating the universe's mysteries for all humankind. His life became a testament to the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit, an example that true strength lies not in physical power but in determination, intellect, and heart. The climax of Stephen's conflict was not just a battle against disease but a profound struggle to define what it means to live fully when so much is taken away. In choosing to continue despite overwhelming odds, Stephen Hawking transformed suffering into meaning. But even as he triumphed over his darkest moments, his greatest achievements were still unfolding, redefining our understanding of time, space, and the cosmos itself. Stephen Hawking's life was a symphony of intellect, courage, and unyielding perseverance. Against all odds, he carved a path that transformed the world's understanding of the universe and inspired millions around the globe. Despite his severe physical limitations, Stephen's mind never faltered. His groundbreaking work on black holes redefined the very nature of these mysterious cosmic objects. Before Stephen, black holes were seen as regions from which nothing, not even light, could escape. But in 1974, he proposed a revolutionary idea that black holes emit radiation, now known as Hawking radiation. This discovery bridged quantum mechanics and general relativity, two pillars of physics previously thought incompatible. It was a scientific breakthrough that changed how scientists viewed the cosmos and opened new avenues for research. But Stephen's influence went beyond equations and theories. In 1988, he published A Brief History of Time, a book that took complex scientific concepts about the universe's origins, the nature of time, and black holes and made them accessible to the general public. The book became an international bestseller, selling millions of copies worldwide and igniting curiosity about science in readers of all ages. Through his writing and public appearances, Stephen became more than a scientist, he became a symbol of human potential. His story of battling ALS for decades while pushing the frontiers of knowledge became a beacon of hope, showing that limitations of the body could never confine the power of the mind. Stephen's contributions were recognized with numerous honors. He was awarded the Copley Medal by the Royal Society, the Presidential Medal of Freedom by the United States, and was made a Companion of Honor by the Queen. Yet, despite the accolades, he remained humble, often emphasizing the importance of curiosity, imagination, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Beyond his scientific achievements, Stephen used his platform to advocate for science education and disability rights. He believed passionately that knowledge should be shared, that everyone should have the chance to explore and understand the wonders of the universe. Even in the face of immense physical adversity, Stephen continued to teach and inspire. His lectures captivated audiences worldwide, and his presence on television and film brought science into popular culture. From cameo appearances on shows like The Simpsons to documentaries that reached millions, Stephen made science approachable and exciting. His life was a powerful affirmation that the human spirit can rise above the most daunting challenges. It was not only about intellect but also about heart, about hope, determination, and an unshakable belief in the value of discovery. Stephen Hawking's victory was not merely surviving ALS for over 50 years, but thriving intellectually and spiritually despite it. He showed the world that even when the body is fragile, the mind can soar boundlessly. His legacy continues to inspire scientists, students, and dreamers alike. The lessons he left are clear: embrace curiosity, face adversity with courage, and never stop exploring the unknown. But Stephen's story is not just about what he achieved, it's about what he taught us about the power within each of us to overcome, to imagine, and to create meaning in the face of life's greatest trials. As his life journey approached its final chapters, the echoes of his brilliance and spirit grew louder, setting the stage for the lasting legacy that would endure long after his passing. Stephen Hawking's journey from a brilliant young physicist to a global icon of resilience and intellect is a story that transcends science. It is a testament to the power of the human spirit, a vivid example of how courage, determination, and a thirst for knowledge can illuminate even the darkest of paths. His legacy is vast and multifaceted. Scientifically, he transformed our understanding of the universe's most profound mysteries. His insights into black holes and the nature of time challenged existing paradigms and paved the way for new generations of researchers to explore the cosmos with fresh eyes and bold questions. But beyond his scientific achievements, Stephen Hawking's life carries a deeper, symbolic meaning. He teaches us that physical limitations, no matter how severe, do not define our potential. His relentless pursuit of knowledge, despite a debilitating disease that robbed him of speech and movement, inspires us to reconsider what it truly means to live fully. Stephen showed that the mind's power to imagine, question, and create is boundless. He embodied the idea that adversity, while painful and demanding, can be transformed into a source of strength and purpose. His life challenges us to confront our own obstacles with courage and resilience. He also reminds us of the importance of communication and connection. Though technology mediated his voice, the clarity and passion with which he shared his ideas brought science into the hearts of millions. He made complex ideas accessible and exciting, breaking down barriers between expert knowledge and everyday curiosity. Stephen's story urges us to value not just achievement but the journey itself, the struggles, the sacrifices, and the choices that shape who we become. He lived a life driven by a profound ideal, that understanding the universe is not just an academic pursuit but a way to connect more deeply with the world and each other. His legacy continues through the countless students, scientists, and dreamers he has inspired. His courage encourages those facing physical and personal challenges to keep striving. His intellect invites us all to look up at the stars and wonder. In the end, Stephen Hawking's story is a beacon, a shining example of hope, resilience, and the limitless power of human curiosity. It calls us to embrace life's mysteries with open minds and brave hearts. Dear learners, Stephen Hawking's story reminds us all that no matter the obstacles, we hold within us the power to overcome. His life shows that challenges are not the end, but the beginning of a greater journey, a journey shaped by courage, curiosity, and an unwavering belief in what the mind can achieve. As you reflect on his extraordinary path, remember, your own potential is vast. The barriers you face today can be the very forces that drive you to grow stronger, wiser, and more determined. Let Stephen's life inspire you to pursue your dreams relentlessly, to embrace learning not just as a task, but as a thrilling adventure. Please share Stephen's story with those around you. Let his legacy ripple outward, encouraging others to face difficulties with hope and resilience. Through sharing, you carry forward the message that intellect and spirit can shine through even the darkest times. If you found this story meaningful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing these powerful journeys to life, lighting the way for learners worldwide. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and keep believing in your own extraordinary power. Remember, like Stephen Hawking, you have the ability to change your world, and maybe even the universe. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next inspiring story.